Game one of the Western Conference Finals just wrapped up a few minutes ago, and the Dallas Mavericks have stolen game one on Minnesota's home floor behind 63 combined points from their two stars in Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. And if this game was any indication of what the series is going to be, it is exactly what I expected it to be. And it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a very tough physical series. It's also was a very fast-paced game one, and I think we'll see a lot of that throughout the course of this series where guys are able to get up and down the floor in transition because of the way that both of these teams defend. You're going to get a lot of fast break opportunities. You're going to get a lot of loose balls, a lot of scramble, a lot of grit, a lot of hustle. And a lot of that was exemplified by everybody on the court tonight, including the stars. So it was great to see on the front end. I definitely want to shout out the crowd there at the Target Center in Minnesota. They were electric. It's always great when you get to these later stages in the playoffs, to have those top tier environments when the fans just take it over the top. It was great to hear that on the broadcast. But one of the things I talked about, if you listen to the podcast, is I thought that this series was going to be really exciting to watch, to see those not even in-game adjustments only, but also those game-to-game adjustments from both coaching staffs, because I think there's a lot schematically on the X's and O's side of things that happened in this game. And there's a lot that both coaches can take away from this game to implement moving forward throughout the rest of this series to try to put their team in a better position to win. So was really excited what I saw both from Jason Kidd and the combination of Chris Finch, Mike Inori tonight. To quick recap, though, to go through the whole game, Kyrie Irving, vintage Kyrie performance in this one. He wraps up with 30 points on 12 of 23 from the field to go along with 5 boards and 4 assists. He had it going. Like, the way that Kyrie Irving is able to finish with both hands is a thing of beauty, and it should never, ever be taken for granted. When Kyrie Irving is playing basketball, you should be watching, because it is some of the most smooth-looking basketball you'll ever see. He was able to get downhill, finish with both hands, floaters with both hands. I think his shot chart from the first half, he might have only made 1 or 2 shots outside of the paint. He was just able to finish over whatever big was down there for Minnesota. So he really carried what was a slow start for Luka in this one. And then obviously down the stretch for the Mavericks, Luka ended up with 15 points in the fourth quarter. The Timberwolves played a lot of drop coverage on Luka with the intention to try to take away a lot of those threes that he can get to. And it was effective early on and throughout the majority of this game. But once we got into that fourth quarter, Luka obviously being the elite player that he is, one of the best players we have in the NBA. And shout out to him, was announced, I think this is now his 4th or 5th first team All-NBA, which is crazy for his age. So congratulations to him. But drawing the Jaden McDaniels assignment, coming off of those high pick and rolls, a lot of times he's able to get Jaden McDaniels on his hip or on his back. He really can just put him in jail from there. And you have a guy like Cat or Gobert sitting in a deep, deep drop in the paint. He's just pulling up that mid-range, and he knocked down 2 or 3 of them in a row and had like a 7-point run by himself there in the fourth quarter. Really got it going. And then that's when Minnesota made the adjustment then to try to switch to blitzing and trapping Luka. That led to a couple of good possessions for them defensively, particularly because then it forces the bigs on Dallas's side, Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively, to have to put the ball on the deck. It's not as easy for them to just get a quick catch and shoot, because you have guys coming over and rotating someone out of that corner. It's usually going to be Anthony Edwards or Mike Conley. And they have to make a move. And it's not as cut and dry as being able to just catch and go up. They were able to force a couple of turnovers there. I know they had, I think, a steal on Gafford, and then Derek Lively traveled on one of his rolls. So I think that's going to be the key for Minnesota. You're never going to be able to contain a guy like Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving for that matter, but you need to continuously show them different looks to just try to keep them as uncomfortable as possible, because a stop here or a stop there, as we saw in this game, it ended up only, coming down to a 2-point game, or excuse me, a 3-point win, for the Mavericks in this one. Stop here or there, that could be a, 3 or 6 point swing in the other team's direction. So just those little nuances here for Minnesota going into game 2, could be huge there. On the Minnesota side of things, despite a losing effort, Jaden McDaniels has been phenomenal on the offensive side of the ball this postseason, particularly in the last 3 or 4 games. He's developed a flamethrower. 6 for 9 for 3 in this one. He was the leading scorer for Minnesota. 24 points to go along with having to guard Luka Doncic is a special performance. So shout out to Jaden McDaniels. Really love what I've been seeing from him. Naz Reid, once again, continues to come off the bench and just makes a fantastic impact on the glass as a playmaker. The way he can put the ball on the deck, the way he can stretch the floor and knock down shots from the corner. He just is a phenomenal asset for this Timberwolves team. He's going to continue to probably see 25 to 30 minutes. And I really liked what I saw out of the Naz Reid and Karl Anthony Towns lineups. I like that versatility. I think that's going to provide the most amount of stress on Dallas's bigs, whether that's a combination of Gafford and Lively, whichever one is in there, because they don't usually play them together a ton. So somebody's going to be drawing PJ Washington. I think Cat a couple of times was able to overpower him, but PJ Washington did a great job guarding up on the 7-footers in this game tonight. So that was a very welcome sight for Mavericks fans, because I had a little bit of hesitancy with PJ having to guard a 7-footer in this series, and he put on a pretty good showing in this one. Additionally, though, going to Anthony Edwards in this one, it looks like he started to run out of gas in the fourth quarter. And that was a huge reason why the Mavericks were able to kind of flip the script and take the lead for the first time in, I think, almost early in the first quarter, late there in the fourth, because it was evident on the broadcast. He just was gassed. And Reggie Miller alluded to, he thinks that might be because of him having to guard and run around with Kyrie Irving on the other side of the ball, which is no tall task. And it's very possible. And so, the Timberwolves will have to kind of start to reconsider potentially how they're going to go about this. Maybe they switch Conley onto him for stretches to try to reserve Ant's legs, throughout the fourth quarter to make sure that he can be there in closing time when they need him to be that closer, because he clearly just did not have enough left in the tank. I think he knocked down 1 3 there late, but you could even tell he's really dribbling out the shot clock. He's trying to get his breath. Every time the ball goes out of bounds, they're calling timeouts. He has his hands on his hips. He's bent over. So, again, going back to those X's and O's, those game-to-game adjustments, small things, I think just trying to find different ways to get him a little bit of rest on that side of the ball, because he means so much to this Timberwolves offense, I think will go a long way for Minnesota as well. Just going to go through my notes, a couple other things that I wanted to shout out here. I really liked the 4 and 5 man pick and roll for Minnesota. So particularly the Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert pick and roll. I think it generates a lot of easy baskets for Rudy, even though sometimes he just struggles to catch the ball on lobs or even on short rolls in the paint. But when he is wide open and he can just easily go up, dunk it and flush it, Karl Anthony Towns has really shown a willingness to become a much better passer this year in Minnesota. So I really liked that look for them as well. Another thing that I really wanted to call out, Dallas shot really poorly from the three-point line. Like I said, that drop coverage and them really playing so high on those screens on Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving forced them off of the three-point line a ton. And then even guys who had been really knocking it down for them at a high clip, like PJ Washington, he went 2 of 8 from 3 in this one, and on a lot of good looks that he was drilling in that Oklahoma City Thunder series. And despite all of that, Dallas comes out with a win in this one. So maybe I think it's a combination of, it's a tough shooting night, but I also think it's a bit of a regression to the mean. I don't think you could have expected PJ Washington to continue to be on the ridiculous shooting tear that he was in that Thunder series. But again, just something to note that for a team like Dallas to come out and win the game while shooting this poorly from distance, again, another welcome sight for Mavericks fans as well. Also, again, I talked about him a little bit already, but Derek Lively, for him to come into this game and put up 9 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists, and just his feel for the game as a rookie on the biggest stages, I think that cannot go understated. Need to make sure that is made well aware of, because he's playing pivotal minutes. He's making big plays. The passing flashes that he had in this game were great, and I just think his athleticism. I honestly like him over Gafford for the Mavericks in this series. Obviously, you're going to have to play the two of them, but I just think he brings a little bit more dynamically and additionally as an athlete and as a mover in space, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I like Lively a ton and want to make sure that he gets his flowers for his performance as a rookie in the Western Conference Finals. First game here, Derrick Jones Jr. played great defense on Ant all night. Again, Anthony Edwards finished with another tough shooting night for him. 6 for 16 from the field, 5 of 12 from three, so a lot of threes chucked up for him. Derrick Jones Jr. made him work. Again, I'm sure that probably played into the fact why it seemed like he kind of lost his legs there down the stretch. And again, I mentioned it in the beginning of this video. The star players, in addition to the role players, were being super aggressive, and everybody understands the magnitude of the moment and are making plays on both sides of the ball. Guys who don't usually make plays on both sides of the ball. Luka has been significantly better on defense this year. He's been significantly better on defense this playoffs. He broke up a lob late in the fourth quarter. In years past, that is not something that we would have expected to see from Luka Doncic. So it's clear that you can see what this moment means to him now, the second time that he's been in the Western Conference Finals and having already tasted, being so close to making it to the NBA Finals and not being able to get the job done. You can just sense that there's a level of determination that he's playing with, and he's willing to go that extra mile and sell out even further because his team is playing with such tenacity on that side of the ball that he's being able to contribute there as well. So Luka's been great. 15 in the fourth. Luka Magic was great down the stretch. Kyrie got them to the position for Luka to be able to take over in that fourth quarter, and we got ourselves a great, great series here. Like I said, I'm expecting this one to be a dogfight. If you didn't watch the podcast, I'm not going to switch up anyway. My prediction for this series was Wolves in 6. I still think it very well can be Wolves in 6. I don't have any dog in this fight. I'm just enjoying the good hoops. You should be enjoying the good hoops too. Continue to stay tuned for the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.